Well done. Yeah, that's it. The empty chair syndrome, as we know it in the psychological circles. Hi there. Good morning. It's Kelvin Mackenzie. We have an interesting show coming up, pouring a bucket on quite a few people, almost exclusively socialists, because they're running the country and running it into the ground. So my first question is, one, why does Andy Burnham hate the wealth-creating South? After all, they're the only net producers of things called, do you remember those things called money? We need money in our country. We need people who create wealth. We've got a lot of the other kind who are happy to lie in bed, and the wealth creators send them money, and they don't even have to go and collect it anymore. It comes direct towards them. So that's fantastic. We need to find out that one. And the other great news, I'm really interested in, a whole load of cabinet ministers are going to go boom out the door today. Bang, out the door. The bad news is that it's going to go boom. A load of them are going to come in as well. So we're going to, actually, I read today that Lisa Nandy is going to get some kind of promotion. Honestly, the Secretary of State for Pies should spend a little bit more time getting herself into shape and a little less time trying to tell us what to do. Okay, two, I tell you what I am extremely agitated about. I heard a stat yesterday that at Exeter University, there are 80 people studying computer science course. They've all just graduated. It's a big event. It's a very emotional event. The parents are delighted. The grandparents are delighted. Everybody's delighted, right? Out of those 80, only 2 have got work. AI is not helpful because AI is replacing coders, but also what is not helpful are Labour tax policies, where it's more and more expensive thanks to that rather cunning piece of NI nonsense, which has had such devastating consequences in the workplace, meaning that you don't want to hire these youngsters anymore. That is catastrophic. So I am going to look at that, and we're going to get some people, obviously, who don't look like me, to come on and talk about how tough it is to find work. And I think also, I hope to be able to get on a car expert to explain how it is that the average price of cars now is 40 grand. Why is that important? Because you end up paying a tax of 425 quid on top of £40,000 every year for 5 years now. So it's another 2,000 odd quid. So it's basically catastrophic. But obviously the big story of the day really is that we've got another Labour Prime Minister coming along. So the best person to talk about that has just joined me, Mike Graham.
Very good morning.
Yeah, morning, matey. I saw in a poll today by Survation that the country does not approve of the fact that we have a Prime Minister for the first time in my history, which is obviously a bit even
slightly longer than mine.
Yeah, it's longer than yours. Actually seems to dislike people from the South and the kind of the wealth creating or the nice place to live and all right, so you have a nice car. These were considered normal aspirations in my life, and now are considered, oh, I see, you've got those, we're going to tax you more so that you have a shitty car and a small house like mine, right? So what do you think will be the political consequence? The chances of this working are nil, right?
And less than zero.
Okay, less than zero. When that happens, where does the hating the South help him? How can that possibly help him?
But also, what he's representing is not the North that you and I actually know.
Yeah.
Because the North is full of people who are actually rather successful.
Yeah.
You go to Cheshire, where there's quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
We go to Leeds, where there's quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
Even parts of Newcastle, I know people who are friends with the kind of Alan Shearer kind of brigade.
Yeah.
They've all got lovely houses just north of Newcastle. they're not sitting there going, oh, we really like socialism.
Yeah.
They're sitting there going, actually, we've got rather a nice house, we've got a nice Range Rover, we've got, a foreign, maybe a foreign property in Portugal.
Yeah,
We go there every year. These are not people, this idea that, suddenly up in the north they're all, flat caps and whippets is absolute bollocks, I'm afraid. So he doesn't even represent
Right, but
right?
in the area that he was brought up in, which I imagine, I don't know this.
He's from Aintree, isn't he?
Is he?
He's not from Manchester. He's from Liverpool.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Your favourite part of the country. Sorry.
Do you know that club there, the Kelvin Mackenzie fan club there? I have to beat people off with a big stick.
It's true.
Right, to stop them joining.
Literally.
But literally. But is that what has created this? Is it because within the Liverpool area there are no Tory councillors?
Yeah.
There are no non-Labour MPs.
Right.
There's no.
There is Sarah Poachin in Runcorn. Sarah Poachin managed, albeit by 6 votes, but she won the by-election.
That's true.
So Reform have got a foothold, maybe. I just think Andy Burnham is a charlatan, right? He is a complete and utter misrepresentation of what he pretends to be. He's never been the ordinary working class bloke. He went to Cambridge University, he studied English literature.
But that's good, isn't it? Isn't that good?
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that he pretends to be something else. He pretends to be the guy down the road who just kicks a football around.
Well, I see. He's now said that
he's not going to wear a tie.
Look, so I'm tomorrow. I'm going to have the Andy Burnham look. Okay, I'm going to wear the old t-shirt,
black t-shirt,
black
right.
if I can find one, black t-shirt.
Come in singing a song by the Smiths. It's all performative crap, right? It's rubbish. It's complete. He's no more northern than I am. But he's making out that this is some kind of new revolution.
You are vaguely northern.
Well, I'm not at all. I was born in London. North London, you could say. I mean, my parents were Scottish. But
your dad,
Yeah, both of them. But I was born in London. I've been in London all my life. And, I don't have any great affinity with the north. But what I do know is that there are plenty of people from the north who are very successful, who run some very good businesses,
right,
and who do not identify at all with this kind of we're all poor. And I also had a great message overnight from one of my Substack subscribers who said this myth about Andy Burnham fixing Manchester is complete bollocks.
Yeah.
He has messed up the tram system is screwed, the bus system's no good, there's congestion everywhere. People are not happy in Manchester with what he's done. So again, it's all a myth.
Right. So, okay, I totally buy that. So he's now going to create a cabinet in his own image, right, in whatever. By the way, I enjoy that. A whole load of them being thrown.
Yeah,
the one I really enjoy
is
that guy Steve Reed being, I think it's Steve Reed. Anyways, Reed being thrown out.
Reed being thrown out.
The Lambeth Council.
What about Peter Kyle?
Oh, yeah.
And his unusual friend.
Yeah, he has a friend.
He's got a friend. I don't want to talk about it.
We're an equal opportunity lover, aren't we?
I mean, he's got this young boy, stroke man.
Yeah, he's 25. The boy is 25.
The boy is 25.
He's in his 50s, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, they seem to be quite close. Apparently, they work out together. I go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym later. I don't work out with a 25-year-old young man. I don't know about you.
I don't go to the gym, actually.
I find that a bit unusual.
It is unusual.
I mean,
he's going to get the push, though, isn't he?
He will.
He's going to get the shove. Yeah. So that's good news.
Yeah.
What is not good news is we've now got a Prime Minister who could literally, because of the majority, do almost anything.
Yeah,
and that's why I don't think he will go to the country.
Yeah.
Okay. Nigel Farage forecast, literally a couple of years back, that there will be a, quote, early general election, unquote. He didn't put a date to it, but he said that it won't run the full term. How do you feel about that?
He thinks 27 is... Well, I was of a similar mindset.
Right.
I've been saying ever since Labour got in that Starmer wouldn't last.
Yeah.
And I was told by people much cleverer than me, there's no mechanism by which you can get rid of a Labour. Well, that was cobblers. I now think that there will be, I've always thought in the past 12 months there will be some kind of economic catastrophe which will force an election on us, and that's what I think will happen.
Do you honestly?
I honestly do think that.
I mean, much as I hate Labour, I don't want an economic catastrophe. The reason I say that is because I remember that, right, and I know that the viewers will find this hard to believe, I am old enough to have taken part in that, which then led to me going to the States, going to live there for a while. And it was horrendous. It was terrible. all kinds of terrible things were happening. And this is what I hate about what Burnham has said. If you lived through those 70s, you were pleased with the 80s, right? Why? Because things were being sorted out. There was work to be had. It wasn't traditional work. Who would want to say going down the mines is a good idea for a human? No. I can understand it for a machine, but for a human. So the fact that jobs were lost, I realise it was a tragedy, and we should have done more for those communities. But even allowing for that, it gave us the opportunity actually to rebirth. There is going to be no rebirth under these people. So what is going to happen?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Because what they're not doing is creating. All they understand is spending your money and my money and public money. They think that's called investment. It's not. They need to give people the ability to pay less tax, to hire more people. I mean, I talk about this all the time. My two young sons, one is just leaving university, one is about to go. They can't get a job doing anything. It's not even, well...
What did they... Let's go into the detail of that. I'm fantastically interested, mainly because I tweeted yesterday some information I got at the weekend, was that at Exeter University, there were 80 graduates of computer science. Now, you would have thought 10 years ago, I can guarantee you, because I was in the hiring business there, over the last 7 years, these people would have started at 35 to 40. They would have given you the biff as an employer, and they would have gone on somewhere. And in London, they'd be making 80 and 90,000 a year by now. Of those 80, only 2 have got work. Only 2. Tell me about your sons.
Well, I hear from people.
Tell me about your sons.
All right. So the oldest of the youngest, as it were, is 21. He's done a 3-year course in what's called music management. Now, you might say, well, that sounds like a bit nebulous, what it's all about. But it's, a bit of marketing, a bit of promotion. I know people in the music business who struggle to make money because they've got venues which are getting absolutely caned by national insurance, getting caned by the minimum wage. He works, the 21-year-old does a shift in a place called the Ritz in Manchester, which is part of the O2 network. Right. As soon as Labour got in and went to the national insurance and said, right, we're raising that, he got less work. So he was doing, whatever it was, 15 hours a week. It got cut to 10, and he's been told, there's not really much hope if you want to work here after you leave university. We can give you maybe 1 shift a week. I mean, you can't live on that, because as soon what also happens, as soon as he leaves his hall of residence, or as soon as he's finished his course, he gets hit with council tax, right, which he doesn't pay as a student.
I see.
Fair enough, but
so what's he going to do? Is he going to move from Manchester?
He's going to move home. He's going to move back home to live with his mother.
I hear this a lot.
Which is happening a lot. He's 21. He'd probably quite like to stay out there in the big wide world, but he can't afford to. So he's moving back home. He's going to look for a job in Sussex. There aren't any.
No.
Right? He then has to think about maybe getting a job in London, in which case does he come and live with me? Does he commute? Can't afford to commute because it costs about 50 quid a day to come up from Hastings to London. It's ridiculous. And there's just not... The hospitality jobs that used to keep people like me and you going, maybe before we became, titans of the media industry. Sorry,
or titans. In my case.
But you can't. There are no jobs like that to be had.
Well, I tell you what. Right? Where is anybody coming on? What's happened to the gentleman who was talking to me from the production team about the issues of? He's 25. Where is he?
He's editing next door. He's got a job.
Collapse of the discussion.
But this is the great thing about what we're doing here, because in addition to putting the world to rights every morning, I'm very proud of the fact that we're actually creating opportunities for people. And I was at a rather swanky garden party yesterday.
Hold on.
You'd like to hear.
Garden party alert.
Garden party in a place near Bromley.
Oh, right.
Quite near Bromley. It's Colonel Bob Stewart's house.
Oh, yes, right. Who looked an absolute shambles when he was on here, by the way. Is he all right?
He's fine, absolutely. Loves it, yeah. He said, they tried to prove that he was a racist. He's now proved that he's not a racist.
Oh, right.
So he can now say whatever he wants. But that's another story. Yeah. Anyway, so
And how many were there at the garden
It was
party?
a good, I don't know, 60 or 70 people.
And were they? They're all left-wingers, presumably.
Not at all, no.
No, I'm joking.
No.
Right. So were there anybody there who anybody online would like to?
Well, there were lots of people who want to come and work here.
Oh, were there?
Right, who want to do shows and all sorts of things like
Oh,
that.
were there?
You know, so yeah, very.
Well,
very
that's
interested,
good.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that we're sort of fighting back against the tide because most
But we
businesses,
can't employ everybody, can we?
Well, no, we
So,
can't.
right. So here's my plan.
But what I'm saying is that there are people who, for one reason or another, are not finding opportunities outside of where you would normally find them.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
Right. So here's my plan.
Right.
Okay. Having heard the Exeter University story anecdote, all university courses that don't guarantee a job or where there is definitely vacancies at the end
Yeah.
to be shut.
Yeah.
Because there is, it doesn't mean that English courses will be shut down because you can become a teacher.
Yeah.
Right? But AI is going to mean that starter jobs are going to be difficult to find.
Yeah.
And even, for instance, what about this story? A friend of mine is going through a divorce right now. Okay? Sad
First
story.
one? First one?
He is his first one. Very happy marriage for 30 years, and then there was an occasion. But anyway, moving right along. So he's techie. He uses AI. Right? He still has to fill the form in, but then...
to get his divorce, you mean?
Yeah, and then sends... Oh, no, it
that
works.
That could be tricky, that.
But it's saved. No, you just have to carry on. I mean, there's no argument between either side over what the breakdown was. It's just simply a financial division.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
He uses it. His soon to be ex, or actually ex now already exists, doesn't use it. But however, when they went to court, the judge said that's the best presented
really
kind of
But
legal.
you see, interesting point though. Is it legally binding if it's been created by an artificial source?
It's not created. You put your information in. They put it into the form, which a solicitor would then charge you.
Because I know you
saved him 18 grand.
How about this, right? I told you I was going to meet this interesting guy on Friday, having lunch with this character who wants to set up an alternative media platform. Even more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Because they talked about the fact that, for example, in media, if you've got an AI machine, if you like, for want of a better word, and I know that's a bit clumsy, if the AI machine writes a piece that goes in the paper and it's wrong and it's libelous and whatever happens, who's responsible for that? You might say the publication is, but if it's actually just published online, for example, you take a view because where is the responsibility for it? And that's none of that is clear right now.
No, it's going to be difficult. Mike, thank you very much indeed. Very good to see you, man.
Nice to see you.
And it's nice to know that you're wandering around Bromley on a Sunday afternoon, meeting.
Touting for business, basically.
Touting from investors. Thanks very much indeed.
See you later.
Right, Mike Graham, who does, it's a nice thing he does. He comes in and shoots the breeze, and you'll be pleased to know that he's got such a following that the audience hits a fresh peak when he comes on and drifts down very slowly as it all becomes clear that this rather elderly bloke here is of not much interest and can't even do his tie up. Right, okay. Right, we've got some that thing about yes, that thing about kids looking for work means that kids are staying at home instead of going out into the big bad world, because the big bad world's expensive and they have to rent a house or rent a room in a house or something, or rent a flat. Right? That's not possible if they're not earning. This is a proper issue, and an issue that needs to be dealt with right this minute.
Kelvin, quickie.
Yeah.
They can hear me.
there's a knock-on effect, because when your children live at home, it means that, and they don't have work, it means that you, as a parent who's worked hard all your life, have less money in your pocket. You're spending less in the shops. We're not going out to eat. So there is a massive knock-on effect there.
Okay, well, actually, I would leave my children to starve upstairs while I go out to a rather decent restaurant. I'm not going to start worrying about my kids at my age. I didn't worry about them when they were younger. I can't worry about them now. I was voted worst dad in Britain 4 years running. Okay, fine. Coming on now, we have Bruce Unfiltered. Yeah.
Hello, Kelvin.
A good name that, Bruce. Tell me, look, it says here on my prompt here, why don't people give a toss about, or actually people don't give a toss about politics. Is that actually true, that they don't give a toss about politics, but they don't like the effect that politics has on them?
I don't know, Kelvin. I think I would say yes. I think people existentially, I wouldn't say don't care. I think they're just disconnected from it, because it's overly complicated, the way they put bills and acts and things like that through, the legislation and policy. People just don't have the time to take an interest in it. And I think, just referring back to what you guys were just speaking about, people are busy in their lives. They've got a lot going on. And who comes home and spends 3 hours trawling through government paperwork, and then you expect the media, hopefully, to try and break these things down and explain them to you, and they just don't. They don't at all.
Yes, look, I totally buy that, but they do. My experience is that the drip, drip, drip of politics does affect the way that people intend to vote and intend to talk. And when they talk about things down the pub, I totally agree. They don't spend a lot of time saying, have you seen...
But look how they're trying to take that away, Kelvin. They're destabilising the pub community and destabilising communities in the sense that they're running pubs into the ground, because that is a key focal place people go to discuss politics. And it's just disappearing. They're doing everything they can to hammer businesses. And it's like they're trying to take away the plausible places that people go to have these debates and to talk, and it's becoming very much an echo chamber, where you're in your own little silo of what's pushed onto you. And as we know, in the media and multiple different channels, depending on what newspaper you read, will heavily influence what you believe in.
Yes, I totally get that. And actually, the truth about the matter is, I like reading the opposite view to myself, only to think about what the opposite view actually really is. Most people are far too sensible to get involved in that load of old tosh, okay? So if I ask you, this is an important day today, because politics is about having an ability to say something, is in truth. So we're seeing a changing of power. I am puzzled about why on earth we have a prime minister who seems to dislike the mores of an entire chunk of the country, especially when they create most of the wealth. And they create most of the wealth because we have the city based in London. If the city were based in Manchester, I'm sure that would be creating most of the wealth. So it's just a freak of geographical nature. The capital is the centre of a financial district which makes most of the money. Is it really in his interest to be hostile to the very thing which is going to give him money so he can hand it out to the skin? Why? Why would he feel like this?
I've done stuff previously across my media, which sort of alludes back to the fact that these guys are heavily funded through donations inside the country. And I did a video not too long ago about the £767 million that's been funneled into the Liberal Democrats, Labour and the Conservatives. Whether people like it or not, money runs politics. It's as simple as that. And I think we've had, I can't quote the exact thing, I just saw it as a brief headline today, that we've had another billionaire who's now prepared to leave the country because of plans to tax the wealthy, which I never think they really think about these things. And unfortunately, what generally happens, Kelvin, and I think what we could all agree with, is they make these bold statements about taxing the wealthy, but the wealthy know how to avoid this stuff. They know where the tax havens are. They've got accountants and big lawyers and people that can get them around these loopholes. And what we actually end up finding is it creeps into your average Joes who are trying to earn a decent living, earning 100, maybe 120 grand a year in a household. That money then starts to come off of them. They get pushed further down the chain.
Yeah.
We then see, as was alluded to earlier, is that then creeps. It's a domino effect. You then have kids living at home because the parents can't pass the wealth down. It's just a domino effect across the country. And I personally believe when they make these bold statements about taxing the rich and taxing the wealthy, they actually just mean us, and they're trying to clamp down on aspiration, trying to clamp down on entrepreneurship, trying to just make life as difficult as possible. And I think we've seen that is kind of how far can we keep pushing until they start to push back. And the general public, unfortunately, get wrapped up in day-to-day life where you're having to work more hours. You look at exactly what the gentleman said prior to me coming on is kids are having to stay at home. You're having to fund your kids. It takes time. It takes your own money away. You're spending less in the economy. And it just seems to be this step that's been happening for the best part of 30 years.
Bruce, just to come in on that,
Yeah.
I personally don't disagree with any of it, but that's not the reality is that 50% of the country now don't pay tax. Okay, and actually, bizarrely, what's also happening is I saw a stat yesterday in the Sunday Times, which HMRC's numbers, latest stats, show that 10% of the top earners now pay 60% of the tax.
Yeah.
And honestly, I get the impression from Burnham that he won't be happy, or his mates won't be happy, all from the north, until that figure goes from 60% to 100%, i.e. Nobody pays tax, right, with the exception of one poor soul living probably somewhere in the Chelsea or South Kensington area who's now paying, 800 billion a year in taxation. We can't have that. I agree with you. Right. We have to get through this point where making 120 grand a year, I promise you in London, I know it sounds bizarre, is not a phenomenal amount of money. And the idea that you can't even aspire to it, right, anymore. You're not allowed, thanks to some northern cloak over the nation, you're not allowed now to make money, okay?
Yeah.
We never, ever, 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 ever talk about wealth creation. We talk about productivity, right? People are talking about making money. They want to give money to their kids. They don't want to have that taxed as well. Yeah. This thing about bank and mum and dad, supposing that goes bust, who on earth is going to be able to afford housing?
I think you're as fully aware as I probably am. I was 21 years old when Tony Blair came into power. Right. So I've seen these two governments for the past 30 years operate the way they have, and they seem very, very similar. Different slogans, different headlines, different color, same agenda. What that agenda is, I think, is quite clear to see, which has been a removal of what. So obviously, if we go back to the boomer generation, and I know a lot of people make comments about Thatcher's era and the boomer generation, but what we effectively saw was wealth was passed down to people. They then were purchasing houses for, say, 10, 15, 25,000 pounds that over a period of 20 or 30 years exponentially rose and gave that generation an abundance of wealth. My parents would then try and pass that wealth down to me so I could then pass that wealth down to my son. And it seems that what we've had for the last 30 years is they're trying to do everything they can to chip away at that sort of, I wouldn't like to call it a gravy train, but it's taxed on money. It's money that's been invested. You were always encouraged for the best part of your life to save up. And my parents have had that driven into them. Save your money. And then they get to a point in their life where they're trying to pass it down to my generation because we're all struggling. Our kids are struggling, and we want to. And then what do you see? You see recently they go and add a 22%. It's not. I know it's not a lot, but it's a creep. 22% tax out on ISAs. ISAs are supposed to be protected. The whole point of an ISA was they were tax free and a way for you to sort of squirrel your money away. Effectively, it was the digital version of putting the money under the mattress. And they just seem to be going into everything and just trying to stop people, and that's aspiration in itself. And I know that people's parents who are lucky to have that are going to benefit from it, and there are a lot of people in the country that don't benefit from that. But when you start, and the problem is, Kelvin, it's it's not just one thing, is it? We all know this. It's an education system that's been driven down one avenue for the best part of 30 years with driving everybody into degrees. And I had conversations this weekend with young people who were saying they're trying to apply for jobs and there's 20 other people applying for the same job who've all got the same degree. Then you've got an absolute decline in apprenticeships. I think we need, which then takes away, so that old school people going into apprenticeships, going through their level 3 carpentry, plumbing, electrical stuff, who would then feel that they could go out and afford to buy a new truck, but have a home to buy and create a business to then take on apprentices. They just don't have the ability to do that anymore because they can't even get out of mum and dad's house, let alone afford a car, let alone afford the business rates.
And what a bloody nightmare that is. I don't want my kids hanging around the bloody house either.
And they're 30 years old now. Yeah.
Well, in my case, they're all about 190 anyway. So anyway, they the idea that you've got old people living in the house is absolutely disgraceful. Honestly, Bruce, fascinating to talk to you. We will do this again. Thank you for sparing the time.
Pleasure.
Right.
Thanks, mate.
Well, he talked a lot of sense, old Bruce there. And the fact he was 21 when Blair came to power, which was 97, you can work out that he's even younger than me. He looks in better nick as well, unfortunately. And not only that, tie of mine is obviously too expensive for my Marks and Spencer white shirt. I'm going to have a word with M&S about this shirt, which is obviously a problem. It's either that or I ate too many pies over the weekend, one or the other. Right, so we got coming up, now we've got a good thing coming up. We've got Jessie coming up in a while. She's kind of a kind of UKLive political expert. She's lived a life, the like of which none of us will have lived at her age. She's 25. She'll talk about some of the issues the young face today. She is taking the issues head on. You wouldn't know that she'd had one single issue in her life. And in some ways, she's far too glamorous to be in here. So because we're all right for me and Pooch, we supply the ugly end of the spectrum. And so we have to have Jessie's to come in. Otherwise, all the viewers will start thinking we're all taking ugly pills before we come on here. But one of the stories that caught my eye was the fact that the average price of a car now is 40,000 quid. Is Jeff around, by the way? He is, jolly good. Is that the average price of an average car now is 40,000 quid. The effect of that is that the tax kicks in as though it were a quote, expensive car. It's 425 quid, and you've got to pay that for the next 5 years, I think, after the first year. Look, one of the problems is we aren't creating any wealth, which is a story we've already had. We've got an expert, Jeff buys cars, who now seems to have disappeared. So he'll be back in, I'm told, in 2 seconds. And he's described as our motoring expert. He seems to have jumped in the car and driven off.
He always does his interviews from the cars.
Oh, does he? Does he do interviews from the cars? Well, that's a good idea, actually.
Well, let's get Jessie on.
Okay, all right. Has he disappeared then?
I'm sure he'll be back in 2 seconds.
Okay, fine. Jessie, would you like to come on?
What car are you driving nowadays, Kelvin?
I am driving a Range Rover.
Yeah.
But it's not an expensive one. It's a cheap one. It's a Evoque.
That's the girls' one, isn't it?
It is the hairdresser's one.
Oh, here we go. Here's Jeff Biker.
Oh, hold on. Come and sit down anyway. Oh, hi, Jeff.
Hey, my phone overheated just as I was about to come in the studio.
I tell you what, Jeff, it's good to speak to you. So I just want to talk about this idea of taxing the hell out of cars at a time when actually cars, 40,000 quid now turns out to the average price of a car, right? I find that, first of all, it's a lot of money. I totally get that. But why on earth are we paying this? And I presume that's never ending, that the 425 will be going up since this government hates people who have cars, probably hates car owners anyway, but also seems to hate the idea that you have a nice car. That seems to be another class war aspect of life.
Well, I think the government actually just hates people. I was listening to that section.
Good point there, Jeff. Good point.
I was listening to that section just before my phone overheated,
Yeah.
And God, it's depressing, isn't it? Isn't it depressing? Like tax on an ISA, for example. I mean, how can you tax something that was already taxed before you put the money in there, before it was taxed? There's tax on tax on tax.
Yeah.
And it's the same everywhere. So, yes, the price of cars has gone insane. Since COVID, we've seen the price of the car on the forecourt go absolutely through the roof. You were talking about tradespeople wanting to buy new vehicles. If you're a plumber, an electrician, whatever, you want to go buy a new transit van. Well, go back 10, 15, 20 years, the price of a transit van has now doubled or tripled. So our basic work vehicles are now so much more expensive than they used to be. Your new family car, and it's partly because they're all loaded with technology that nobody asked for and that nobody needs. So now your basic Ford Focus is now what, 30 grand? It's wild.
So one of the issues that perhaps we could talk about this. One of the issues that I face is my car's a hybrid. I am going to be charged 1.5. This is under some mad Labour scheme, 1.5p per mile under this pay tax as you drive. On top of that, I'm paying for my petrol tax. I don't use the hybrid in my car because it literally lasts about 20 odd miles before it claps out, and I can't be bothered to put the charge in. Okay? How can this be sustainable? How is it intellectually sustainable that I'm paying for two sets of taxes where I don't use one of the areas which is charging me the tax?
Well, it's because we now live in clown world. So the thing is, because you're driving a hybrid because someone decreed that the emissions on your car had to reach a certain level, and the way the manufacturers decided to get to that emission number was by fitting the electric stuff. It was never about making it a better car. So the taxation is based on the engine that you've got, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's any better for the environment. We live in clown world now where nothing actually makes any sense. And if you want to buy and drive an old diesel that you can afford and that you own, they want you off the road as best as they possibly can. For most people, the hybrid thing doesn't make any sense. And a lot of company car drivers have been putting these plug-in hybrids. And then when the cars go back to the lease company, they find that the electrical charging cable is still wrapped in the plastic bag in the back of the car because it's never been used. So this car that was built to be low emissions has never done any of its low emission bit, because the customer that ordered it only had it because it was cheap company car tax, and that was the car he was forced to have. It's not about the environment. It's not about saving money. It's all just a grift at this stage, isn't it? I do believe that it's all just about control, and they call me a conspiracy theorist, but I keep being proven right.
No, do you know what? I'm one of those that the old plug-in is in the rear of the car. I've never used it. So when eventually I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that I am going to have to pay 1.5p a mile and petrol tax, and I will definitely use the car less in the future, I think.
The thing is, the pay per mile, I mean, that is the bridge that we cannot cross, okay? So I've been talking about pay per mile on my YouTube channel for some time.
Right.
Pay per mile is what they want to get in, because if they introduce pay per mile, then it allows them to install the cameras. And it's only ever been about installing the cameras. And again, you say, oh, well, it's 1.5p. It's only 1.5p. Well, it won't be next year, and it won't be the year after that, and it won't be the year after that. Imagine when we get to a point when your summer journey to Cornwall, your 200 miles is £2 a mile, and then you've got 9 hours of traffic to go and get down to the caravan that you've rented in Newquay that was £3,000 for the week. We're getting to a stage where people are going to be imprisoned in their own homes by traffic and costs.
Jeff, I get that. People will definitely drive less. And the other issue is that you'll be in the bizarre position where it'll be more expensive than to travel by a hugely expensive train, right? In which case, they'll keep pushing the train up. They can so they've got two ends of the spectrum, and they're both pushing the damn thing up. I totally get you. Jeff, I've never met you before, but I'm beginning to think you actually understand the thought process of these people. I've just had a rather offensive text sent there saying, what kind of clown are you, Kelvin? Right? Right, well, actually, I think we know what kind of clown I am, right? But thanks very much for asking. Right, what kind of clown are you? Are you buying a hybrid car and then don't use the hybrid? I reckon loads of people will be like me. I reckon loads of people will be in my case, I can only do 50 odd miles or something. I only bought the damn thing because I like the colour of the car, right? And the other thing was, I was very impressed by the sales guy, young sales guy. I said to him, if you've got any ideas, I'll fund you. Let's go into some kind of business together. Clever guy, right? Clever guy. We talked about a few things. The next minute was, he left, right? He left, right? Probably because I suggested we work together, right? He left and set up a business with somebody else. So that's my sales technique. But Jeff, if you had to close your eyes, you open them up. Okay, you're right. Keep them closed. Open them up in 5 years' time. What percentage of the car market will be electrical?
I don't know, because there's so much that's going to happen in 5 years' time. I mean, the question is, are we still here in 5 years' time? You know, you've got Agenda 2030, you've got all this dodgy stuff that's going on. If you go back 6 months, could you have predicted where we were going to be 6 months or 12 months ago? I think trying to predict where we're going to be in 5 years is now virtually impossible. I don't think it matters. I think the goal is to get us off the road. The goal was never to replace every single car with an electric car. The goal was just to get us out of our cars and have the few cars that are remaining on the road constantly tracked, constantly monitored, and charged for every inch that they drive. So in 5 years' time, well, hopefully I'll be in a different country by that point, but I guess we're going to have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But we cannot cross the bridge of pay per mile, because like I say, it'll start at 1.5p, it'll be 10p the next year, and before you know it, it'll be £5 a mile. Because as you know, the motorist is a very easy cash cow, and because we're British, we just touch and we go, oh yeah, that's not very good. But nobody ever sets fire to things like the French do. If the British started setting fire to things, maybe life would become a bit more affordable, because, you know, doing things diplomatically and legally and politically, well, that clearly doesn't work. So it's time to start lighting some fires, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind. Hold on, two can play at this bloody game, Jeff. We can't. Hold on a second, I've got a more attractive picture of me. Anyway, enormously handsome. Jeff, I'm going to leave you. Thank you very much for talking some sense. If I'm a motorist, all I can expect is an escalation of... Right, well, that's the end of that. Well, no,
I'm still here.
Okay, well, actually, that was more attractive when you were on. Right, it says, and another one here, sell the car, Kelvin. You're more suited to a mobility scooter. Now, you're being ageist here. Jeff, have a word with that guy, will you? Stop your relatives writing it, texting it. Okay, all right, well, look, I like you, hope in 5 years' time I'm somewhere else, but mainly in the northwest, that's somewhere else with 6 foot underground as far as I'm concerned, I'm afraid, so that's a bit uncomfortable. Jeff, nice to speak to you. Hope to speak to you again on these kinds of issues. You certainly punch your weight. Thanks very much indeed. Right.
Cheers. I'll get a new phone for next time. It's been balancing on an ice pack the whole time, and then that started to melt. So we'll see you next time.
Anyway, that's pretty good, actually. It's at least as good as here. I must be honest with you. Anyway, thanks very much anyway. Right, well, as we like to add glamour as well as intellect to this this show, I've got Jessie Kane, who's joined us. Hi there. Morning, Jessie.
Morning.
Morning. Thing about Jessie is that she's lived a life, the like of which none of us have lived, and actually not many of us want to live, and yet full of humour, full of energy, and always good to see you. Big day today, politically, and I know politics is your major big love in life. But before we get to that, you're what, 25, 26?
I'm 25.
25. A couple of the production staff here are similar age to you. They were saying to me that they both went to university. I don't think you did go to university.
I did go to university.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, but they went to university, and what they said has happened is that most of the people they know either are not in work, despite getting degrees, but also, secondly, that they're taking jobs to which you didn't need to have a degree. They become Amazon drivers, they go and work in Waitrose, they're in some kind of retail, which they were sold a dream a dream which continues to be shown on the socials, i.e., oh, I'm an influencer, I'm a this, I'm a that. Give us a bloody break, will you? And some people will make money out of it, and they get a lot of publicity, others won't. What was your story when you left uni?
So I did, for my undergraduate, I did a degree in PPE.
Oh, did you?
And I finished with first class honours.
Okay, where did you go?
London South Bank University.
Okay, all right.
So not a very good university.
No, come on.
But I got a first class degree, and
Well done you, buddy.
thank you. I already worked at Ladbrokes, so it was quite easy for me to move into a junior analyst role in 2022.
Yeah.
So I started working there then, but what I was doing was data analysis. That has all now been replaced by AI. All of that has gone. I went on to do my postgraduate degree because an undergraduate degree is not competitive enough. So I got my postgraduate in law, compliance and regulation. I finished with a distinction and I went travelling. So I left Ladbrokes and I came back travelling in April, and I've never, ever, ever struggled to get a job. I've been seriously looking for a job since March, and it's insane. And I've got 2 degrees with outstanding marks, and I'm struggling to get a job. My friends who are younger than me are struggling to get a job. My friends who are older than me are struggling to get a job. The only places really that are sort of hiring are places that can't be replaced by AI. And I do think as well, the meaning of a degree has totally been replaced. Say 20 years ago, I know that if I'd gone to university, one, I wouldn't have had to pay, or 30 years ago, sorry, I wouldn't have had to pay because fees were brought in with Blair to make it more competitive. But only the most competitive, academic-minded individuals could go to university. So if you walked into university, that was, oh, wow, very well done. Let's give you a degree. Let's give you a job, sorry. Because what's this? Brewing and distilling is an undergraduate degree offered right now at Heriot-Watt University. Why do you need a degree to learn brewing and distilling? Contemporary circus and physical theatre is offered at Bath Spa University.
No.
Why do you need a degree? Also, loans are taxpayer funded. Why is the taxpayer having to pick up the loan cost for students who are studying useless degrees? Business is another one that I don't think. Why do you need a business degree to run a business? Many successful businessmen and businesswomen that I know with their own business have never even gone to university or had a degree. Why is it that we're encouraging everyone to go through the university system? Well, universities, they want people to go to university because they are remunerated for it.
Yeah.
But that's not linked to graduate outcomes. Universities don't care about graduate outcomes. That's why they're having these Mickey Mouse degrees. I think the Institute of Economic Affairs put it perfectly in To a Radical Degree in 2020, that there is no evidence that simply producing more graduates has improved economic performance or boosted the economy.
Right, I tell you what, that's a great piece there, Jesse. Pooch, we must put what Jesse said out, not as one of those 6 and 8 minute bloody clips, which don't work, by the way. And we should have a word. We should have a word with the people who do this for us and just say, forget those 8 minutes. Let's make 45 minutes, 2 minutes from now onwards, right? Because it's that kind of thing which will percolate downwards. Right. So I have an idea. Right, I have an idea. I come in as education secretary instead of that half-wit Phillipson who does so much damage in my view, right? And we should now say to universities, unless there are vacancies in the jobs which you are effectively selling, we are shutting down.
Yes.
We are shutting down those courses.
Yes.
We are letting these professors and academics go who couldn't get a job. You couldn't get a job pushing a broom outside Aldi's, most of them, right? And actually look down on people like me, you. Actually, they probably look down on you in a way that they wouldn't look down on me, because at least I'd have the television to have the camera to piss on them. If they, anyway, I'm sorry about that. I got carried away. So we withdraw that last one. But so, what's your solution? Okay, you are right in the firing line. Your friends are double degree. First distinction from a background where actually even if you found work, you'd be considered a hero, okay? You still find it difficult.
I still find it difficult. What we need to do is, well, exactly what you said, scrap these university degrees, and we need to, but the thing is that employers also, with changes to employment law, it's harder to sack people.
Correct.
Employers will, these data analysis roles, like my first proper big girl job at Ladbrokes doing data analysis, that's probably gone now, taken up by AI, because AI never sleeps. AI never cries. AI is never late to work.
Yeah.
You know, that whole job that I used to do, probably completely replaced by AI. So what we need to be doing is we need to be creating more jobs that aren't reliant on AI. But this is the thing,
Well, how do we do that?
Where do we do that? Well, we need to be encouraging STEM. We need to be teaching our kids how to code, encouraging them properly down the AI route.
Look, people tell me who know about these things, including a conversation I had yesterday, that actually you don't need coders anymore. Actually, AI can code it much better than you can. So here's the other issue that the young may not like to listen to, and I don't even sure whether I like to say it. There's two things they need to do: set out on their own, probably drop their price, which you can do if you set out on your own, because you can offer to do a job at beneath minimum wage if you're the boss. Okay. I know that sounds terrible, and then possibly work.
But that's how you build a reputation.
7 days a week.
Because, well, this is the thing. When I used to work at Ladbrokes in the bookies, not in my data job.
Yeah. What, in the shop, you mean?
Yeah, in the shop. When I was a shop
which shop
girl,
did you work in?
Oh, I worked all over. My favourite one was Ascot Corals. I loved that shop so much.
Yeah.
But my first shop was Woking Ladbrokes. I loved that shop as well.
Yeah.
But I used to work 7 days a week. You can sign out of the 40-hour time directive, which I did, and I was doing 60 hours a week every week because I was hungry for money, of course, and I was doing that full time alongside a degree. And
you were. Now here's a story. Here's a story that Burnham will not like. Young person flogging themselves to death and doing university at the same time. This is much more normal of the US system, where the fees are off the dial, even although they're pretty high here. So let's get this right. You're at uni working full time.
Yeah,
okay.
60 hours a week.
Okay. And you're at work.
Yeah, I was a shop manager at the very end.
Were you?
Yeah.
Working what, 6 days a week, 7 days a week?
7 days a week sometimes.
But making good money.
Well, I was making all right money.
Okay.
You know, I was making good tips, very good tips. Because
Because when people won, did they give you a fiver?
Well, yeah, and also if you was talking to them throughout the day, you know, Ascot Coral was a great shop to work in.
Oh, I see. So this was the kind of middle class bookies.
Yeah.
I like that. I go to Betfred's in Weybridge, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's a rather nice lady there who seems to do rather well out of me. So she doesn't get a tip because every time I go in there, I lose money. I see. Well, that is fantastic. But if you said that to a lot of you said a lot of students that you're going to work 40 hours a week somewhere.
They don't want to do it because the thing is that, and I know I can be guilty of it sometimes because I say, well, I don't want to work at Sainsbury's. But to be honest, I'd probably be happy working back in the bookies because I know how to do that. Oh, I could do that asleep.
Yeah.
And I love that job. But I think we need to sort of take away this, you know, disgust even of normal jobs.
Yeah.
Because people look down on normal jobs. Oh, I don't want to do that. I've got a degree.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an honest job, making a living for yourself. And actually, you're gaining a lot of life experience. I learned so much. From customers, just from talking to them, you know, just.
But that's in your nature,
shop.
isn't it? I mean, you're a chatty person, and therefore they start chatting to you. Whereas, you know, if I was taking the money, they said, "Well, I'm not talking to that bad-tempered old git." So there is a difference. I mean, it's the same with my wife. You know, when we go anywhere, within half an hour or within 30 minutes, or not half an hour, within about 30 seconds, she said, you know, that lady's just told me that she'd been married 7 times, she's got 4,000 kids, and she lives in Pudsey or something. You know, there are people who've got personalities that actually bring in the gossip from people's lives, which are quite interesting.
Well, I do think what could sort of help this employment crisis of young people is reducing the cost of employing people, because that's what they've done. They've increased the cost of employing people through national insurance. Why would I, as a businesswoman, want to employ someone if the cost of NI, etc., is going through the roof. I wouldn't. I would rather keep work costs down and just have one person instead of 3 people for that job, because it's becoming an expense that I don't think is necessary.
Well, what about the idea under this new employment law, which they said is going to be helpful, which anybody who knows about employing knows is going to be effing unhelpful, is from day one you get sickness pay.
Yeah.
Right? So you turn up. I tell you what, you don't even turn up. Oh, I'm sorry about this, especially because it's day one. But honestly, I'm not feeling too well because I've been on the sauce with my mates because of the football. But I will definitely be in by Thursday. Thanks very much.
Well, this is a risk of employing people now.
Yeah.
Why do we think that businesses don't want to hire people? Why do we think that businesses are turning to AI? Again, AI never sleeps.
Yeah.
AI never cries. AI never calls in sick after being on a social night.
Yeah.
This is the reason why, because there's too much of a risk employing people. It's absolutely outrageous. The government is not helping young people like me. The government is hurting people like me and stopping us from getting into work, and they're saying, oh wow, we're saving you with these Employment Act reforms. They're a load of nonsense. Cobblers, absolute cobblers. They are the ones hurting our generation. They are stopping our generation from going into business. They are stopping entrepreneurship. No one's got creativity or imagination now because we're trapped in this box. Oh, go to university, do this, do that. Well, it's not working out very well for us, is it? And it's not helping our economy boom. Sorry, I think I went off there.
No, that was good. We'll put that out. We'll put that out on TikTok, because actually the reason why that'll have to go out on TikTok is because it will be hitting the very people who are possibly sitting at home wondering what I can do. My advice for this is to think up ways of starting a little business which services somebody else, and do it at a price below minimum pay, okay? Because actually you're the company, you're just going to actually price a job. You're not talking about building pensions into it and that kind of stuff into it. So it's an important aspect of life. That's why I can see that actually one of the effects of AI will be that many, many other companies turn up. Right, finally, Jesse, thank you very much for this, by the way. This has been spectacular. Actually, Jeff was spectacular. The only person I'm worried about is this old git that keeps on looking at me all day long. So you're Burnham.
Yeah. Oh no.
He is at the other end of the spectrum as far as you're concerned, right? He doesn't believe in any of this, by the way. If you said to him, the reality for us 25-year-olds or the reality for us 21-year-olds is we don't know we've got a future. We can't move out of our homes, and we're really challenged to find work. He's going to change the cabinet today, and that's the bit I'm enjoying. So all these experts who've been coming on various clapped out BBC shows, which is the reason why the BBC licence fee exists, because it's simply a mouse fee for Labour, right, are all going to get slung out, but they're going to sling in a whole load of other people. We're having this conversation in a year's time. Will we be doing better under this administration, the same or worse?
No, we will be worse.
Oh, right.
Under Burnham's leadership, we will be in a worse position. I doubt employment will suddenly increase, because most likely he's going to back all of these reforms that have happened to employment. He's going to back universities taking on more students, despite it being statistically proven on multiple occasions by various different think tanks that actually going to university isn't helping an economic boom and is in fact just giving universities more money and keeping their pockets full. He is going to support this because he thinks he's giving us an education. Well, I'm sorry, my parents would have left school at 15 or something, and that was fine enough for them. That was fine enough for most people. I don't think we need to have education up until 18. I don't think we need to have education up until 25. You should only go to university to that level if you are genuinely at that high level academic spectrum. Otherwise, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, £60,000 you're taking out, plus interest, which is through the roof. I think my interest is something up to like £91,000 now. I regret going to university. I regret it. I wish I never went, because I tell you what, I've learnt nothing. All of my writing skills I perfected during my A-levels. I got phenomenal scores in my A-levels. I never needed to go to university. I only got pushed to go to university because everyone goes to university and it's the right thing to do. And you'll have fun because you'll be able to go boozing and socialise. That's not the correct reason to go to university. The correct reason is to educate yourself and to get a job. But you're not getting that outcome anymore. You're not getting that outcome. So in 1 year's time, I expect that this country will be on a further economic decline, with less jobs, even more, and with more students in university wondering, why the hell am I here?
Well, Jessie, thank you very much for that cheerful analysis of where we're all going to be. I will be 6 foot under, and Jessie will be Prime Minister at the end of that time. Jessie Kane, it's fantastic to chat with you. We are going to do this more regularly. And I think if UKLive can't find you a show, then I think GB News should be alerted to your talents. And either if I were Kevin Badenoch, I'd try and hire you, and if that didn't work, then if I were Nigel Farage, I'd try to do that. But don't go anywhere, because at the moment I'm thinking the best thing that could happen with this show is probably if we did a double act of some kind, because we're looking for some brains rather than just sort of either bald-headed old people. Okay, lovely. We've got the news coming up. And there's not much happening apart from a new Prime Minister who will be as bad as the last one, as Jessie points out. The one I'm looking forward to is Bridget Phillipson getting the elbow out of education. That would be a triumph. But the idea that Lisa Nandy is going to be promoted, and also the possibility of a bloke who can't even eat a bacon sandwich becoming Foreign Secretary seems a challenge, especially probably in the Middle East. And then we've got a fascinating kind of analysis about what's going to happen to the £153 million which we're sending to Pakistan, and yet they won't take from us one of the most revolting, in fact, the leading member of a grooming gang.
Good morning, I'm Edward Hughes. The Knob of the North is set to enter number 10 as the new Prime Minister, promising a fresh approach focused on cost of living help, regional regeneration, and breaking from Westminster traditions. He faces immediate challenges on defence spending, energy bills, immigration, and North Sea oil policy amid pressure from the US. In crime news, police have named and pictured suspect Joshua Kerry in the targeted murder of former politician Anne Widdecombe at her Devon home. Counter-terrorism officers are investigating possible motives. Economically, the UK has seen modest growth, though property prices are feeling the heat from the World Cup and weather. Other notes include cabinet speculation, calls for stronger defence, and international ripples from US actions in Iran, and those big baby Argies lost to Spain in the World Cup final. Gotcha. Laters, Tigers.
The reason is actually, so we've got watches being sold here, we've got shirts being sold by Alistair. What we've decided to do is not hire people by their intellect, but by their dress sense. And you're going to see Alistair Hilton in a minute. He did very good work. Alistair did very good work by actually taking on some police officers who had, I mean, it was ludicrous of him to do it. And I'm not so sure that had it been me, that I would have been quite as aggressive or on the front foot. So he complains about the fact, legitimately, that the local council now want to move some chairs which people have been sitting on outside pubs in Chiswick for 1,000 years. And he thinks that a local councillor may be behind this, starts getting involved in it. The next thing you know, he finds 2 police officers coming into a pub, asking him to step outside, and he gets cross-questioned about this. Now, the thing is that Alistair is not a shrinking violet. We don't allow shrinking violets on this show, as you will have seen with Jess's performance just now, really punchy. This is a 25-year-old, 26-year-old woman. It's astonishing. And if you knew her backstory, you'd say it was even more astonishing, right? She has got the full 9 yards, and I expect with a bit of help from UKLive, she'll become an enormously successful lady. So Alistair takes on the coppers and the whole thing that they then put on the reverse cycle clips, and suddenly the whole thing disappears. But unless people like Alistair and also people like the Free Speech Union, unless you stand up for yourself, you are in serious difficulty in this country. The idea that police officers can just wander into pubs and say, this isn't a criminal issue, but do you mind stepping outside? We just point out what we think the law is. And Alistair, to give him his, Jeff said, actually, it's not the law. This is not anything to do with it. And by the way, this isn't the last you're going to hear about it. So 2 decent coppers who get dragooned by their station sergeant, station inspector, some superintendent somewhere, right, suddenly come up with the reality against what it's like to be in the spotlight. I fear for everybody. But Alistair is back. This is by demand, actually. People want to see more of Alistair, and strangely, they want to see less of me, which is an uncomfortable area to be in at my time of life. And I do think it's slightly offensive, really. Alistair, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
to see you, man. I see, shirt of the year.
I've dressed up for you again.
We've got a watch guy over here. He'll be on in a second. We've got a bloke here trying to flog shirts for a living over there.
Jeff selling and flogging mugs.
Yes, and Jeff's trying to sell mugs. There is nobody. Actually, I'm in favour of it.
Yes.
Sell what you bloody like. I couldn't care less. On the BBC, you're not allowed to indicate that you're wearing this kind of watch or talk about the thing like that. Why not? People are more interested in Alistair's shirts than they are in his opinions.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
it's good to hear.
So right. So tell me, Alistair, you are irritated, aren't you? You are
most of the time.
You are
Most of the
and
time.
it's only alcohol that helps you, isn't it? It's only alcohol. Well, Mike Graham is a part of that show as well.
If it wasn't for alcohol and pubs, then life would be bad, wouldn't it?
It would not be interesting. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? That you can, at least you can go there and have a good time. I hang out with them sometimes, and I don't even drink. How about it? So
that's a very strange.
No, I know. That's why when I go and ask for a pint of iced water, which is what I do. Fortunately, my brother is from the Alistair Hilton Society, right? So I have to order 2 large Malbecs in order for me to get 1 pint of iced water. Otherwise, the pub is losing money, and I feel bad about it. And the thing about my brother is, once he's had a couple of those drinks, he becomes more interesting anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I like to think I do as well. Yeah.
I don't think you need the drink actually. But okay, so. Where are we now with Pakistan? So we send them 153 million quid, yeah?
I think the thing with all these figures that we're sending money abroad is that these numbers don't really mean anything unless you break them down. So 153 million, I mean, what does that actually mean? So, you know, what I sort of broke it down the other day on a post I did on X was the average basic rate taxpayer pays £2,700 a year. That's what they pay. 153 million means that nearly 60,000 people are working all year only to give it to Pakistan. Yeah. And it doesn't even go to the Pakistan people, it goes to the government. It never trickles down. Yeah. You know, go to Pakistan, have a look at Pakistan. The people aren't rolling in money, the politicians are. So, you know, you've got 60,000 people working all year just for that. And then you can then look at the other countries that we give money to every year. We're giving, in the last 12 months, we've given £13 billion. Work that out, £2,700 for each taxpayer, basic rate taxpayer. That means that 8 million people in this country are working all year, not for roads, not for schools, not for hospitals, for foreign aid to countries, Yemen, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, China, the list goes on, Sudan. These are basket case countries. If the aid worked, because we've been giving this for years and years and years, if the aid worked, these countries would have improved by now. But the countries don't improve, the politicians get richer, and the British people are literally 8 million. Andy Burnham is just Prime Minister for 3 seconds, And he's announced that he wants to up the aid that we give. At the moment, it's 0.2% of GDP. He wants to put it to 0.7%.
Back to 0.7.
Yeah, well, but you know, so at the moment, there's 30 million basic rate taxpayers in Britain. 8 million are paying for foreign aid, only for foreign aid. So 1 in 4 people that you see working in a restaurant or a cafe or sweeping the streets or whatever, 1 in 4 of those people's money has gone out of the country. It's zero benefit to
Actually,
UK.
do you know what? That is a much better way, of understanding huge numbers, because I totally accept that a large number is not able to for ordinary people. Actually, not for ordinary people. Actually,
For anybody, the numbers
number
don't
is
mean
so
anything.
the number is so large you can't compute it. In fact, that's associated with governments. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so in turn, we think we've got leverage, don't we? We think at 157 million, if I'm giving you, Alistair, right? And you look at that.
would have leverage if you gave me 153 million.
Well, certainly I'd offer to throw in a couple of new shirts as well. Okay, so I say I've got 157 million, I'm going to give it to you. However, what we'd like to do is to throw out of our country somebody who has carried out an literally atrocious form of sexual assault on our people. And they say what? They say actually because that person actually gave up their passport for our country, and because actually legitimately that we have developed the pedo in him. This was their argument, right? What they didn't mention was that actually a load of other Pakistanis were involved as well. We're not going to take them back. Instead of saying, well, you can do what you like, you can't have the 157 million without taking this fellow back. We then don't say that, do we? We never use leverage. Money is the only language most people in this world understand.
Any normal person, any business person, for any business deal you'd ever do, would go, if I give you this money, you're going to do this for me.
Yeah.
And it's so basic that any deal, I give you this, you give me that.
Yeah.
There you go. But our government has gone, we'll give you that. Thanks. There you go. That's it. You won't even take back one, and there's lots of them, but one person. And they, they say, well, we don't want him. He's a terrible person.
Yeah.
But, all right, here's your 153 million then.
Well, not only that, we have one other leverage, which really would please the country, I think, which is to simply say, look, mate, we won't give you visas for anybody to come in. Rich, poor, skin, whatever. People aren't coming to this country because they think they're going to be worse off than where they are. They're coming over here because actually they think they're going to have a better life. And even if they don't have a better life, they're going to have a subsidised life, which they don't get in Pakistan.
The problem is, you can't even blame the people who come here.
Yeah.
You can only blame our government for allowing it.
Yeah.
And the government say, oh, well, there's this. You don't need to give everybody that arrives a free house. You don't need to give them free money for life. You don't need to do that. What they're going to do? They come, you give them everything, so of course more come, and more come, and more come, and they will carry on. If you stopped the money, you'd stop the people instantly.
There's a fantastic piece hidden away in a rather crappy column in the Times. The trick about columns is try and ignore the first 6 or 8 paragraphs. Having written a column, and actually being fired, by the way, fired for writing a column. Right? They hated my columns. The old son. Do you know what? Every time I wrote anything, the roof would fall in, and then somebody like Sainsbury's would say, we can't advertise because of this disgusting column. Anyway, if you go down into it, it's a column written by a lady called Jenny Russell, who's basically a socialist fellow traveller, right? Dresses herself up as a member of the middle classes, and therefore writes a column, and therefore the Times runs it. Right. So what about this? At the end of 2024, a High Court judge stretched the definition of those with a right to Britain's resources even further. The government was running a resettlement programme to bring Afghans who had worked for Britain to safety here, along with their families after the Taliban takeover. Listen to this. The programme was restricted to spouses and dependent children. Yeah, you could make an argument for that, absolutely. But in a case brought by an Afghan migrant, challenged those restrictions. Mrs. Justice Yip, I'd love to know what her background ruled, there is no requirement for blood or legal connection. Family, she decreed, is a term that does not have any fixed meaning in law or in common usage, may mean different things to different people and in different contexts. Here's the rub on this, right? That was the legal analysis of it. Listen to this. The judgment blew a hole in the UK's ability to limit admission. One man brought 22 people with him. Government sources reported the average was 8. Some houses in military bases had to be knocked together to house newcomers. In total, almost 38,000 people were resettled here by the end of 25. Massively more than had been anticipated.
Exactly. What you've got is you've got England, Britain, the UK. This has developed, society has developed over hundreds, thousands of years. So we're where we are after many, many years of evolution and development, and the villages and the towns. And you've got villages that have 800 people in them. And suddenly the government put 3,000 people in. Totally blown apart. You can't then get that village back. That's gone. And that's happening here and there and wherever. So all this thing that has developed, the whole of society has developed in England and Britain. And suddenly, bang, is gone. 35,000 people again. People don't realise what 35,000 people a year. This is only the dingy people is 35,000. Yeah. The numbers that are coming in on planes.
The legitimate ones. It's 38,000 come from just Afghanistan connected with anything we were doing in Afghanistan.
You can't absorb these people. Yeah. And these are people that aren't coming. Over the years, people go, well, we need migration. Yes, we do need people who work. Yes, we do need people. What we don't need are tens and hundreds of thousands of people who come, no jobs.
Okay, question then, Alistair. It's easy to talk about this. You've got a left-wing Prime Minister who doesn't believe in any of this, by the way. If he was sitting here right now, he'd be nodding along, but actually would say the complete opposite. What's going to happen? Is he going to suddenly say, actually, I agree with Alistair?
No, he's not going to say that.
Okay, so he doesn't say that. He says, let's just carry on. Yeah? So they'll put somebody into the Home Office replacing Mahmood, okay? Mahmood got a slight nod from the rest of us because we felt that she was going to do something. As it was quite cleverly done. And in the end of the day, it looks to me as though that's going to disappear into the long grass. So this show continues. Alistair continues having his views, right? Nigel Farage has his views. He doesn't get elected. What happens?
I think they just carry on and carry on and carry on because it's not them that it's affecting. You know, Andy Burnham and everybody in government, and look at the size of the civil service, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It doesn't affect those people. Those people are all getting their money. They've all got their security around them. They've all got protection around them. So their life can carry on. It makes no difference. You've got Keir Starmer, who's just left, going, I've left Britain a better place. They're on another planet, these people. They don't live. Go down the pub. Listen to what actual people say. And if you can find one person in any pub in Britain that goes, oh, he made Britain a better place, I'd be shocked. I would be shocked.
That is a very good point. So he was saying this in order that his legacy, politicians constantly trying to fashion the kind of dynamic of the conversation down the pub or anywhere. Actually, they're really aiming at places like the Times or the Mail or something like that. They actually don't really care about us. But this is another problem. So I looked at the polling the other day, and polling is neither here nor there because in the run up to the election, that's the only thing that matters. But the way things are standing at the moment, Reform, despite all the criticism and all the rest of it, still representing a quarter of the country, which is a good effort. But Labour has had some kind of bounce, a 5% bounce, because Burnham turns up. But what on earth in our kind of economy can a Burnham do? I find it impossible. What are they going to say or do which is going to transform anybody's life?
But I think
are we going to be in a better... Right, same conversation, coming up to the general election, will Burnham be saying, I've got you in a better place?
But the thing that gets me every time is politicians never listen to what comes out their mouth. Look at what they actually do. So every election since the dawn of time, a politician says you get a free puppy and a few nice kittens if you vote for us. You vote for them and they go, forget about the puppy and the kittens, give us some more money.
Yeah.
And 4 years later, they say the same thing and people go, oh, but he said he's different this time. Guess what? It's the same. So it's unbelievable that people keep listening to the words. Burnham can go blah, 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 like any politician. Look at what they actually do. Look at what Starmer's done. Look at what the last Prime Minister and the one, I mean, there's been 7 or 8 in the last year.
Yeah.
So look at what they've actually done. And the answer is they've done absolutely nothing to make people's lives, normal people's lives, better in Britain. They've done absolutely everything to make their lives worse. I go down to a shop and something I buy yesterday that was £1 is £1.30 today. And next month it's £2 and the next month it's £3. And you can't carry on like that.
Correct,
You can't.
Alistair. Right, you're Prime Minister, okay? In a surprise announcement, Prime Minister number 8, Alistair Hilton, said, I intend his slogan was, I intend to put the country into a worse place, right? And on that basis, everybody then believed him, right? So, I'm going to make immigration my major issue. I'm going to solve the problem, okay? So we need to...
I can solve that in one day.
Go on.
One day.
Go on.
Every dinghy that arrives here, you take them, they're supposedly fleeing persecution. Fine, all right. I don't necessarily believe that is the case with a lot of them, but let's say they are. So we'll give them a safe place. We'll give them a field somewhere in Britain, guarded so they can't get out the field. They'll have a tent, they'll have cooking facilities, they'll be completely safe. Nobody will be able to persecute them, but they won't get any money. They'll just have to sit in this field and be safe in this field. And do you know what? After a month of everybody arriving and being put in a field and given water and food,
big field, wasn't it?
We've got lots of big fields in this country, lots of big fields, and put them there, safe, so you can't criticise them for being persecuted anymore. They've got food, they've got water, and do you know what? Within a month, those dinghies would stop, done, finished. Everybody that arrives here, if you've got a job, great. If you can support yourself, great. Fantastic. Come here, work, make the country better. If you come here and haven't got a job, you go to that field as well until you find a job. Sorted.
Right, Alistair, I thank you very much for coming in with that one. And as the owner of a very large field in Kent, I am looking forward to your policy. Alistair Hilton, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
And once again, if you've come here to listen to the liberal view of life, you've actually come to the wrong channel, I must be honest. Good to see you. Right, now we've got coming up now somebody who is not going to suggest either A, shutting down universities, B, buying up large fields in the UK, or C, the Mike Graham effect. We've got we've got a super chat. I'm astonished about that. Perhaps it's towards buying that field. Super chat, 10 quid from Simon Kilford. Well, thanks very much, Simon. I could do with a tenner. And there's another one here. This is from 6-month job hunt, 4 interviews, no job. Now, I feel very sorry for that. I refuse to accept the 2 quid. We're not taking that £2 because that's not right. If she's not in work, we can't have that. So thank you very much indeed, anyway, for that. Alistair, he's. I somehow feel that the big field approach to politics is not going to work. Perhaps what we should do is do something else. You know that Parliament needs to spend about 20-odd billion pounds. Perhaps we should find a big field and put the politicians in it. How about that, with a guard and not allow them out? Anyway, that's another idea. Now, Jonathan came on the show, I think, a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, a couple of weeks back.
And by the way, he smartened up a bit. the last time you were here, Jonathan, I did think the business wasn't going too well. It looked as
I was told to come in a corporate T-shirt as part of Armed Forces Week, but I reflected in the mirror. I actually feel more comfortable like this. Someone once said to me, if you're going to go somewhere, turn up like you mean business.
Yeah, no, Jonathan. Now, Jonathan runs a watch business.
That's right.
You create your own watches.
My wife and I, that's right.
And I think you had it was rather a good effect.
We had a wonderful response, and I think it reflects exactly what we've been talking about in the show.
Yeah.
Which is people want to help people. They want to buy from people. And I think, thankfully, to this channel, hearing our story, hearing how we do things, the fact that they email in and I reply, you know, I mean, I always say I'm customer services, sales, packing and everything.
Oh, that is funny, that.
Hello. I mean, there isn't anywhere else to run.
Hello, customer services, you want to be put through to packaging. Okay, hang on 1 second. Yeah, hello, packing, can I help you? Yeah, no, I love that idea. I love that idea.
So we had a wonderful response, and I think not only did we do good business, which is important, but we had a lot of people who were genuinely interested in what we were trying to do.
Whereabouts is your business based?
We're based in Elstree, just by the studios.
Okay,
which
fine.
you'll probably know.
Yeah. No, well, occasionally me and Brad Pitt go down there, and we like to do a bit of showboating. So tell me, your business took a bit of a tick up.
We did, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to just show the viewers?
Well, we've sold out of one colour now because we make very limited editions. So we sold out now because we only make 75.
What was the colour?
Yellow has gone.
The yellow is gone. And is that because people want the strap as much as the watch?
I think people like to have a pop of colour. In other words, they want people to have a conversation starter. What's that you're wearing?
Alistair, when talking to Alistair, I didn't get the feeling he wanted any colour. But anyway, I'll put that to one side. I'm sorry about that.
Let me just lift this up.
Right,
so hopefully, here we go.
Right in front of you, Jonathan.
Right.
No,
Here.
to your right.
To our right. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
There we go. So we've done.
Push forward with it.
There we go. Yeah.
Because it will focus. It's focused on your face. Lift it up a bit.
Oh, that's it. No, that is a perfect shot of you. Now, Jonathan, he's at his most attractive like that.
Well, my wife would definitely agree.
Dolly on there.
Yeah, fine. That's it. Now, this is what we call technology here. Now, in some channels, that we'd be zooming in now on it, right? But under the pooch,
You hold it and I'll zoom in.
and under the pooch approach, what's going on here is he's coming in. He's coming in. It's coming home. It's coming home.
There you go. Push.
The watch is. Hey, I've got an idea. Soccer watch.
There you go.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, got it.
Right, fine. Can I ask you something offensive?
Just not offensive.
How much did it cost that watch?
This watch is £399.
Okay.
Including VAT.
Including packaging?
Including packaging.
Hello,
yes.
packaging. Can I help you?
Yes, and including Royal Mail. I don't do that bit.
You don't do the Royal Mail bit?
No, I can't do the posting and delivering to the doors. But we do use Royal Mail because why shouldn't we?
Yeah. No. I'm in favour. Are they cheaper than going to Amazon or anything? Or
Well, you can't buy them from anywhere else apart from me.
Oh right, you don't. So we either come to Jonathan.
You either come to my website, which is heliconwatches.com.
Right. Say it slowly.
Right.
Have a look on screen, Kelvin.
It says, I bought one of Jonathan's beautiful mustard yellow watches after seeing him on your show. I'm very pleased with it. That was, let's have a look, Mrs. Jonathan Bordell. No.
Tag 164.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan.
Well, there you go. So thank you very much for that customer. No, we don't have the margins. I assemble all these in the UK, so I make them. I think I mentioned before, the boxes are all made in the UK.
Okay, let's get
so
this
we do
right.
As much as we can.
I want to become, there is a big company, I think it's listed, Watches of Switzerland.
Yep,
right?
yep.
Okay. I want to start one called Watches of Weybridge, where I live.
Okay.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So what do I need? First of all, okay, I won't ask what your margins are, because otherwise everybody because the costs of running a business are nothing to do with just the basics of it, right?
Absolutely.
Which is the pain of life, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What would I need to find? I need to find somebody who can make a watch, first of all. Watches of wages. You want to write this down? This is one of the great commercial ideas of all time.
50-50, Kelvin, we'll go 50-50.
Okay, we've gone 50-50, which normally mean when you do 50-50 with Pooch, when it comes down to it, actually he gets the money and I get 50% of the insults.
He's got some great ways to invest your money.
Yeah, that's right. He's doing fine. He's doing fine. When I invested in his company, the first thing he did was buy a huge house in France. I had to sell a huge house in the UK in order to afford the investment. Right. What do I need to make a watch? A great watch.
Okay. So this is where it starts. You can of course go to someone to make you a watch.
Oh, right.
It's not the way that I do
you?
it. Yeah, of course you can find people who make watches. A lot of the big brands are not necessarily made by them.
Rolex are they?
Rolex are, yeah, but there's other brands where there's other companies making for it. As many fashion.
Like a rebranding.
Yeah,
rebranding.
white label they call it.
Yeah, white label.
So they say, I want an X, and you go and order X. We do it slightly differently because I've been working in this industry a long time. So I have one person who makes my cases, one person who makes my dials. I buy the movements directly from Japan. So I've got a person there called Hiro I deal with directly. Right. So I'm essentially trying to pick, like a chef, the best sources of supply. And then what I want to do is control the quality, because the worst thing as an independent business is if I send something and it goes wrong, well, I essentially lost all my money. That's the reality. By the time I've got the watch back and we've repaired it, I've got no profit left. Right. So I have to make sure that what I send out the door is 100% what I need.
Okay, fine. Look, next time you come on, right, I totally buy that you're here to sell your watches. And I'm very happy that you can sell them and sell the hell out. I want you, if it's possible, to bring on some other watches from somebody else, right, as Watches of Weybridge, okay, and our new joint venture, Jonathan, right, and show what those costs are and whether you think those watches are value.
Right.
Either why they are or why they're not, right?
Okay.
Or why one at, say, 2,000 quid is actually poor value and one at 595 is not bad value. I'm not saying we shouldn't carry on flogging your watches.
Yeah.
I just want to extend the watch area.
I think that's fine, and we can have a good discussion about that, and we can break it down.
Yeah.
I think I need to be very careful because I'm sure these people have got very aggressive lawyers.
Oh no, I'm not worried about.
But I think it's always like my wife and I had a significant anniversary recently. Went out for a very nice meal in London.
Oh, did you? Where did you go?
We went to Jason Atherton. Have you been there?
No. Where is it?
He's on Savile Row.
I know Savile Row. I bought a suit from there for Richard James.
So he's just moved there. It was a very nice lunch. He was there. He's always there.
What's his name?
Jason Atherton.
Right. Okay.
Michelin-starred restaurant. And everyone said to me, how much is that? And I said, well, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
However, we were welcomed by him. We were treated like royalty.
Really?
So what I'm saying is, Savile Row, nice ingredients, excellent staff. Excellent staff. I mean, you had that guest on before who I thought was tremendous. And I think we need to invest in these people. But you felt you knew where your money was going. Whereas I think with other big brands, you're paying for marketing, you're paying for brand ambassadors and all of that.
No, look, I totally agree. I object sometimes to the price of my meals unless it was a good meal. If I come away thinking I have just paid, so I suspect you and the missus celebrate a big thing together, or whatever, significant anniversary or something. You could spend, I don't drink, but neither does my wife actually. So our bill is quite low. But if you have half a bottle of wine or something like that over it, you're going to be through 200 quid without turning round.
But you can equally go to a chain and buy 2 meals and a couple of soft drinks and get average stuff, and you're in for £100 now. Easily.
That's true.
And that's my question is, okay, but I know that person. I know we had a long chat about the business and running the business, staffing problems and cost of food, all the same chats we all have. And it's a pleasure for me to work with those people. And I complimented each and every one of them. One of the chefs who came over, and I said, because you could see them working, you work so precisely, it's like a watchmaker. I said, it's a pleasure to watch you work. So my attitude is, we've got a significant anniversary. We don't do this very often at all, right? But I want to know that my money's being well spent. And I think if it's someone there with it's British produce, it's lots of staff, that lovely location. I mean, I don't want Savile Row to turn into chains as well.
No.
To be independent.
I mean, one of the interesting about, clearly you're dressed in Savile Row, I can see that. The one thing I liked about Savile Row is actually looking at the fantastic stuff in the window. I mean, stuff that you'd never think, but the clever bit is they don't actually put the price on there. So I would have thought that for quite a few of the suits, you probably have to flog probably about 20 of your watches in order to be able to afford.
I actually, you want to reality? I do have a friend who's a tailor, Timothy Everest in grey flannel. Tim was in the East End because he couldn't afford Savile Row. Savile Row was money, but he's now done lots of movies. He actually did dress the British football team in the 90s. Oh yes, in the 90s, yeah, which was with Marks and Spencer's, I think. So he designed all of that.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, he did the Mission Impossible films. He did Alien, one of the Alien films. Yeah. So but he has his place in Marylebone, and you're quite right. I think the last suit I got from Tim was about 8 or 10 years ago. Yeah. But we're friends now. Yeah. It's more than a suit. We're friends. Yeah. And I think the first.
What's this guy's name?
Timothy Everest of Grey Flannel.
Right. We'll get Timothy Everest on, and we'll get him to. I love talking about people actually running not very big businesses, but actually totally committed to their business.
And as I said, it's an investment. You go in there, you talk. Yeah, it's a considerable investment. But if my oldest suit there is 2000, my oldest jacket, 2008, and still going strong, then it's done its value for me, hasn't it? I mean, I've got good value, but I've had a friendship. I've met lots of people.
In a funny way, when talking to you, you are basically like Jessie, who a young lady who come on here talks about politics and stuff like that. Enormously clever, by the way. First in this, first in that, first in the other thing. The only thing I got first in was first member of my family to be thrown out of school.
And I left school at 16. So.
Right. The same. Yeah, but I left involuntarily. Right. I was required to leave.
I went to the careers evening, and they said, this is what they said to me at the sixth form. They said, we think you should look elsewhere. That was it. That was it.
They said that to my parents. I had no idea. And they come back home and said, we've just had a rather uncomfortable evening. Oh, really? Well, I find that hard to believe. Yes, so we definitely get that guy Timothy and get him to talk about how you make a suit, how you make your money, and how. Right, I was told because I bought a suit for my big party coming up in September, and I said, "How's business?" And they said it's tough. They said that the top end people are simply not spending this year, and I found I felt sorry for them because they're pretty good stuff. So your business doing well?
Yeah, we're very happy.
So, but you had an aspect, didn't you, to your business where you were connected with the military.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so we do a lot of private commissions, which we don't talk about publicly. Yeah. Where a unit or a group of individuals will come to us and say, we want to make a watch, which we're happy to do. Yeah. We don't talk about it publicly. Yeah. The big thing, and I had this meeting at someone at the weekend where they said, we've gone to the big Swiss brands and they want £2,500, £4,000 for a watch. And we simply can't afford it. Yeah. So we often speak to the military, and like this, we say, well, we can probably make you a watch for £399, including VAT. Yeah. We've done some customization for you, as long as they're reasonable with what they want.
Okay, can I ask you about customization? Yeah. It's 3 para, right? We want to celebrate conquering the Falklands.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I bump into a guy, and the reason I know this, I bump into a guy, I'm moving house.
Yeah.
And I take a load of stuff down to the dump. So I become, basically, I am a kind of member of the Dumper Old Boys Association. Right? So the guy who was there, that was talking to me, he said his brother, had been in the Falklands with 3 para. And they have a T-shirt which says, Argentina, this is on the back of it, we kicked your ass, okay? He goes into a pub in Walton-on-Thames on the night, and security see the T-shirt, and they kick him out. Right. Yeah, no, they kick him out. He had to go home, change the T-shirt to come back again. Anyway, so I suspect there's quite a lot of work to be had out there,
and it's
through the military.
Yeah, alone. Absolutely, and we're quite nicely busy with that. And there are some people who want some things we can't do, and other things like the last person we did something for. Yeah. They had, let's say, their unit emblem was something that may be seen as not politically correct in this day, but it was their emblem. And what we did was we shadow printed it on the dial, so you couldn't see it. Yeah. You could only see it if you shone a UV light on it. So the dial just looked plain, because they didn't want to have any conversations about any of that sort of stuff. On the back, they had their badge numbers. In other words, their
who they are,
which were all done individually. And then we did. I will show you off air, right? But we did something on the back of the watch which resembled one of the important places in their history, which they were blown away with. And we actually had it hand engraved like a coin, right? And they were blown away with that. So that's the sort of thing we could do. In fact, they were worried about if they could sell them. We were oversubscribed, but the people in the unit said, do you know what? We said to people it was available, let's keep it limited and we might do something again in the future. So that's what we do. So yeah, and I love all that work and we're trying to get more of it done in the UK. So hopefully we're going to be able to etch the case backs in Rochester, in Kent. I've got a friend who's literally about 2 miles down the road from here, from the studios, who's going to print on the dials. The more I can do here, and we can be really flexible.
Right, so here we are. I am not on commission. I'm going to have a word with Jonathan off air about whether there's any opportunity of having a version of a super chat, if you get my drift. So here's the answer. You're in the military. You work for a company, right? You're leaving, right? And you've got special, you'd like some aspect of being in a way almost like a headstone, which represented 30 years of employment, because that's one of the things that doesn't happen today. No. Yeah, if you last half an hour, you're likely to get. I sometimes think at the end of this show I should get some kind of memorable watch. But so you're in the military. I think the military is a great example. It doesn't matter which branch of the military you're in. You will form friendships which will last a lifetime. By the way, that's also true. Another example would be police colleagues.
Yep.
Police colleagues, I know. So a friend of mine, a former police officer, they meet once a year, a group of them, and they walk up and down the road next to the beach at Worthing. It takes them about 3 or 4 hours, and they simply talk about the old days, really, right? That kind of groupage would do very well with Jonathan's watches, because he can individually give them a personality, which you won't get at Watches of Switzerland. And also, you won't be welcome at Watches of Weybridge either, which is a subsidiary of Going Bust International, which is something. And word just in from Westminster. Obama has just announced a proposed tax on all watches and general chronograph. Yeah. Now that is funny. As her parting shot, she never liked you, Jonathan, did she?
Lousy timing.
Yeah, yeah. Now that is very good. That is excellent stuff. That be very a tax on watches. No, so I'm being serious here. Right.
One more. Sorry.
I bought the RAF Blue watch for my son-in-law's 60th. I couldn't wait till then, so he had it now, and he's delighted. Lots of mother-in-law points. Oh well, that's
maximum.
That's nice. So,
and
I would think any kind of thing where there is a uniform attached to it, where you get a collective view of you against the world.
There's a part on our website. If you go to our website, there's a part you can fill in for any applications, and then and the other thing about confidentiality, it's only going to be myself and Daniel dealing with it. Yeah. My wife, that's it. So again, a lot of these things are under the radar. We also don't want to have some sort of commercial agreement. So in other words, we're doing it for them, not to say, aren't we fantastic? Yeah. And I think you're right. Everyone remembers their first watch, and it's still something of great meaning, and we've lost it. But then, of course, as I said, if you go to the average serving person, officer or rank and file anyway, and you say the watch is $2.5, $4 grand, they're going to say, I'm never going to get away with that.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Jonathan, very nice to see you again.
Pleasure.
But remember, my view is slightly wider than just, I love the military. If I see somebody wearing camouflage walking across the concourse at Waterloo, my heart kind of beats a little faster, right? And I've said this before, when you're in the US and you're waiting for a plane, they announce, first of all, people on babies and disabled come forward, but actually then they say, the military, right? And then what they say, which you never ever hear in our country, they say, we're grateful for what you do. Yeah. Now, honestly, it almost brings a tear to my eye. Absolutely. We never have the view that there are people out there who actually, they don't know whether they're coming home that day.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how pushed for time you are, but I just want to add, you've worked in London a while. Do you remember HMS President that was moored on the Thames?
Yeah, I do,
right?
Yeah.
This weekend, it was taken for scrapping. Our last 1918 Q ship, right? Gone for scrapping, right? No money to preserve it. Now that could have been preserved, put somewhere in the country, driven with tourism now. That's part of our heritage gone. And I think next month I'm bringing back something that's significant to our naval heritage. It's a new launch for us. I'd love to come on and talk about it.
Yeah, no, you're welcome.
But I think we must honour and cherish these people who've done so much for us.
Yeah, no, it's very nice. Right. So two things. I hope that today's show, I love the idea of it helping any business. I love the idea that anybody is doing slightly better from coming on this show, right? It fills me. The only person that's not doing very well is me, because actually by the time I throw in my railway and park the car and also buy a coffee, I'm actually minus at 12 quid for coming in. Now, perhaps, Jonathan, you should take over my finances. You seem like an engaging sales guy. So bring in some other watches on top of yours, but we'll carry on selling.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Matey.
Thanks very much.
Thanks. One more client here. Okay, one more. Did Kelvin put his tie on with his feet? Now, look, I am not the only person now, hold on 1 second. I'm not the only person to have got this wrong either, because this has probably been aggravating the living daylights out of everybody. I can't get it right. I'll tell you what, we're going to go to the news, and we're making one more effort to try and put this right. And failing this, we're going to ask Jonathan to go into the tie business. Right, I can't get it right. I don't know what's up with me. Yeah, you're quite right. Thanks very much. Okay.
Morning, I'm Edward Hughes. The Knob of the North is set to enter number 10 as the new Prime Minister, promising a fresh approach focused on cost of living help, regional regeneration, and breaking from Westminster traditions. He faces immediate challenges on defence spending, energy bills, immigration, and North Sea oil policy amid pressure from the US. In crime news, police have named and pictured suspect Joshua Kerry in the targeted murder of former politician Anne Widdecombe at her Devon home. Counter-terrorism officers are investigating possible motives. Economically, the UK has seen modest growth, though property prices are feeling the heat from the World Cup and weather. Other notes include cabinet speculation, calls for stronger defence, and international ripples from US actions in Iran, and those big baby Argies lost to Spain in the World Cup final. Gotcha. Laters, Tigers.
Yeah, look, I had a go at putting it around in the traditional way. That didn't work. This led to a lot of complaints from the viewers. So I've decided to adopt a more kind of inclusive way of wearing a tie. I'm only wearing a tie because I was told it made you look more important. Let me put it this way. Burnham has announced that he's going to constantly wear T-shirts now, and he's not going to wear a tie at all. And so that's going to look good at the cenotaph, isn't it? Huh?
Yeah, it's Rambo.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, it's a good look, though, isn't it? I mean, it's not. This is not a joke. This is going to be the new way. Look, if we got a prime minister who's refusing to wear a tie, I am going to continue to wear a tie, but I'm going to wear it in a manner in which we have humour. Anyway, certainly for the next 15 minutes. So this, by the way, is Pooch's significant creative investment into the company, right? This is it. And he gets good money for doing this stuff, by the way, whereas I lose good money. Okay, coming up now is actually somebody rather more important than me. Is Leo around? Yeah, Leo.
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
I'm going downhill. Honestly, I'm bumping along the bottom. You look as though you've had a haircut, have you?
No, I'm gonna get a haircut this afternoon. Like my hair is quite long and a little bit shaggy, so I'm gonna go to a barber's.
Okay, I need your view on how you see this great the sunlit uplands that are heading towards us with Mr. Burnham or taking over. Is there something that fills you with joy now that we've got you? Look, honestly, you have been piddling from the top of the pyramids on Starmer for the entire 2 years, yeah? So he's come and gone. You've done that. Are you now pleased that Mr. Burnham, or Crash and Burnham as he's now known, I just thought I nicked that from somewhere. But so do you think he's going to be a great success?
No, I don't think it's going to be a great success at all. I mean, if you look at what he's planning, what he's openly saying he's going to do, is he's going to make Starmer look like Thatcher. He wants to raise taxes, and the problem with the UK is taxes are already at an all-time high. I mean, if we put them up any further, there's going to be no economic activity, no economic growth whatsoever. And he's going to splurge more on welfare, which is just bribing people to sit in their bums and do nothing, which is the opposite of what what we need right now. We need to become a more vibrant nation, like America. America's got an incredible economy because it doesn't pay people to sit on their bums, and he's also going to open the floodgates for mass immigration, bribe people to come here, basically importing voters. People think that welfare is some sort of generous thing. It's not generosity. It's governments buying votes. They will pay a sort of a lazy clientele to sit on their bums doing nothing in return for money. And those people know that if they want the money to keep flowing, they've got to go and vote for the Andy Burnham party. So they'll go and do that. It's so fraudulent. But also, what he's doing that kind of worries me is he's appointing senior hope not hate figures as in key roles, which means that all people on the right, all commentators, all politicians are going to have this, effectively a Stasi coming after them and trying to smear them, dig up dirt, any dirty tricks that they can do, and that's going to be ramped up because these people are now embedded at the highest level in government.
Yes, I found that extraordinary. So I tell you what, I'm going to have to take this off because obviously I'm a serious commentator. You know that, Leo. Anyway, so if you take the hope not hate aspect, do you think there's any chance that Leveson 2 might? I know this is slightly arcane, as far as some of the viewers are concerned, but Leveson 2 was an enormously dangerous document. Who I see that Leveson was just promoted for the second time, so he's now Lord Leveson. So he's thick in the establishment. He's also, I think, a Scouser, isn't he?
Yeah. We're being run by the Northwest. And this sort of control of the media is so dangerous. I mean, if we look at societies that are successful, they tend to be open and have a democratization of information, which happened in Britain with the invention of the printing press and has continued to expand ever since. And this means you've got independent media who can scrutinize government and scrutinize our institutions and criticize them where it's necessary and guide them in the right direction, provide feedback. But if the institutions and the government then control the media, and the media can be bashed and beaten and made to do what it wants, which is what Labour are bringing through. Like Starmer has an open policy of controlling YouTube's algorithms and controlling social media algorithms to promote state propaganda, to promote the BBC and legacy media that's aligned with the left. So, this is hugely dangerous. If we're gonna have, the only source of information we're allowed is Pravda, the Soviet Union's newspaper, then we're not a free democracy anymore. We're essentially a sort of communist state where any independent media can be either smothered through tweaking the algorithm so nobody sees it, or can be attacked with lawfare, as we're seeing with Leveson.
I do buy that. I think there is something strangely communist leaning about the Burnham approach. He's been sitting there, he says, for 40 years, wanting to row back on neoliberalism. Well, that is a very peculiar story, considering we had 13 years of Blair and Brown, apart from the last couple of years in which we lurched further left. And he says that's not left enough. The reason the country doesn't work is because of Thatcher. I saw an interview he gave to the Times today in which he said, I'm not going to say anything nasty about Farage or Kemi Baden because I don't think it's useful to be, disobliging about politicians. And yet he blames the entire issues that we have today on somebody who's been dead for the thick end of 30 years. I think the guy makes it up as he goes along, and at that he will fall flat on his face. You have to believe in something. You must believe in something.
Absolutely. And to go back and blame Thatcher, I mean, he's going back, 40 years, more than 40 years to try and pin, the country's downfall. And to try and pin it on Thatcher, who actually brought, privatised our industries and brought the free market into Britain and, dealt with the strikers. People don't remember, like during the 70s, we lost millions and millions of days, working days to strikes, to industrial action, and rubbish piled up in the streets, and public services were terrible, and the trains were terrible. Nationalisation isn't the solution. And for him to go back 40 years to try and blame, the last genuinely conservative administration, I mean, why not go back to the Norman Conquest? Why not go back to the breaking apart of Pangaea? You know what I mean? Why not go back to the Big Bang to blame everything? I mean, come on. We had that huge period of Labour power where all the institutions were sort of just bashed into shape and made to be left wing forever. That's genuinely responsible for the current state we're in. We really need to break apart the sort of left wing grip, this slow march through the institutions that the communists have had, and make Britain a free and democratic country again.
I imagine, I agree with you, and I imagine anybody watching these kinds of shows is not going to disagree with that. My fear is we are 3 years into this, right? Supposing it does drift on in the manner that we actually look as though the direction of travel we're on. Do you think come the general election day, that with 50% of the country not paying tax now, which is an enormous number, don't you think that is a difficult area, that we may not see what we would have thought was a massive kind of win for the right in any form? Do you think there's a danger that the 50% on the left simply say, I tell you what, I rather enjoy not paying tax. I enjoy the fact that my benefits come in, that there is so much of a bribe, as you put it correctly, that they actually don't go the way that we want them to go?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the other danger is that, that Burnham's Stasi, his hope not hate appointees, are going to be really effective at damaging support for the right. They're going to be, going after Farage, going after the whole of reform. And we've seen how dangerous this is. I mean, Hope Not Hate ran a horrible article on Anne Widdecombe that,
correct.
That really, we don't know the full circumstances around Anne Widdecombe's killing, but it's starting to look pretty obvious what happened, and these are almost the street troops, do the sort of stochastic terrorists of the left who are going out and doing the dirty work that's subtly cajoled and inspired by the left wing establishment. And you can see from the reaction of the left wing establishment, there wasn't a great deal of hand wringing over Anne Widdecombe's killing. Whereas if that had been a Reform Party member or a Restore Party member who'd done something, oh my God, we'd still be in national mourning. We'd still be, the BBC would be hammering us over the head with it every single day, all day long. But as it's somebody on the right who's been targeted, it's just it's quietly swept under the carpet.
No, can you imagine if it was an aging black politician that being killed by a young white of the right? I can't imagine what the result would have been. Leo, it's very good to speak to you. I love speaking to you, man. Come on anytime you like. If you feel actually, I've heard you. If you feel there's a rant coming on, just hold on to it. Come on here. You can have your 2 minutes, and then you can go and get on with your day and making your money. Thank you very much for sparing your time. I'm very grateful.
Cheers, Kelvin.
Cheers, man. Righty ho. Well, those of us who wasted 3 hours of our life watching the World Cup come to an end. I've loved the World Cup, by the way. I love the fact that the president was there aggravating the living shit out of everybody. That cheered me up no end. I love the fact that the Argentinians were beaten. I love the 6-4 result, beating France. As distinct from Wayne Rooney, who is a fantastic advert for Monjaro, by the way. He must have dropped at least 2 stone, possibly more, and actually in dropping the weight appears to have become more intelligent. I mean, this is a strange aspect to weight reduction. I quite liked the way he delivers stuff, to be honest. I preferred ITV's coverage. I love their setting. Whoever came up with that setting in New York City should receive a substantial bonus. That will be worth quite a lot of money to them commercially, I would have thought, where media buyers and advertising agencies generally look at that and say, yeah, good bit of thinking there. You helped our product. I'm very grateful. So this is the end of the show. I'll be back tomorrow, more sensible talk. One other point I'd like to make is any small company that is having that's got a product on there, any small business person wants to come on and sell their product and have a chat with me about what business looks like, but also about the product, why they love their product, how it's doing, whether it's doing well, badly, or whatever, please just drop a line to UKLive and we'll have you on. The watchmaker here, Jonathan the watchmaker as he's known, is his business has perked up a little since coming on here. There'll be other people who, when they come on here, their business will actually turn down. So be careful what you wish for. But it worked for Jonathan. Hi, morning or afternoon, Mark. How are you?
Hello, Kelvin. How are you?
Yeah, well, more importantly, I quite like the K-pop guys in the halftime entertainment show. I hated Justin Bieber. I thought some of it was ridiculous and out of touch. But I like the idea. I'd like to see Brentford do it, where I'm a season ticket holder. I'm not saying I have all the big stars. I'd like somebody to come on there and do an act, right? A young rap act from the area, right? Doing some major hit of some kind. I'd love all that. So I know I can see that the Littlewood head is moving in an opposite direction. What do you think, Mark?
Absolute blasphemy, Kelvin. If you want to go to a football match, go to a football match. If you want to go to a Justin Bieber concert or a Shakira concert or a Madonna concert,
Shakira was good. She was good, Shakira.
I don't care. It's a football match, for crying out loud. 15-minute intervals between the two halves. I thought you were a traditionalist, Kelvin.
No, I'm not. No,
you've sold out to a foreign power, my friend.
No, you're completely wrong. If you've been to see Charlton, you would go to see Charlton play Walsall or somebody, you need something to cheer you up. And a rather dodgy pie supplied by Break Brothers is not the answer, right? And actually, Charlton's Shakira, I'm waiting to see you.
Great. Well, you're a persuasive man. So, Kelvin, if you reckon you can get Shakira to do a 10-minute set at the Valley on a Tuesday night when Charlton are playing Walsall, I will buy you drinks for the rest of your life, my friend, because you're the best promoter ever to pull that one off.
All right,
no, we're going to be cheering
all right.
through that half-time entertainment. And the matches as well, right? All's well that ends well. I wanted England to win the World Cup, but the most important thing was that Argentina didn't, and they haven't. So to some degree, mission accomplished.
They did themselves a disservice by the way they played last night. They did football a disservice. They turned out to be what we already knew from the Falklands, that they're a bunch of thugs who, when they have it put to them, can't do it. I thought it was disgraceful. And I also think the sending off indicates the chances of him going to Real Madrid. Would you have thought that was high?
Yeah, I still think it is. If I was an Argentinian player, I'm not sure I'd be wanting to ply my trade in the English Premier League next season.
Yeah,
how about
correct.
you, Kelvin? Right?
That is a very good point.
So
that I totally buy. Very good point, Mike. Okay, we'll have a great show. And are you going to carry on doing the World Cup every after this show for another 4 years?
Well, it's a little bit difficult, Kelvin. We're thinking about it. We've done quite well on audience. You and me are beating Talk TV and GB News on their YouTube views live. Right. But I'm a bit worried that if we were to try and make a big deal out of tonight's games, Kelvin, I might lose some of the audience. There's 2 matches in the Swedish Premier Division and 2 matches in the Finnish Premier Division. What kind of audience do you reckon I might secure for that?
I definitely think, Mark, that there is a role for the start of the Premier League, right? And I wonder whether actually you should take a well-earned break and come back with that, because the interest in football will never have been higher. I mean, the audiences were massive, weren't they? I really enjoyed it. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, best World Cup of my lifetime, Kelvin.
Correct.
I can just about remember 1978. This was the best one ever. I wish it had a slightly better final game to cap it off. You always want a magnificent sort of 4-3 or 3-2 final. The final last time, which was 3-3 between France and Argentina, was a classic. But overall, on aggregate, the best World Cup in my lifetime, I would say. I was born in 1972, and I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Magnificent.
What about extending it to 64? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit nervous about that. It doesn't add as many games as you'd think, and it would mean that you no longer get that nonsense of the third place team going through, right? Because you would just have 16 groups, 2 going through, not sort of Scotland hanging on about whether just narrowly beating Haiti might actually get them a game in the next round. So it would be more matches, but it would also then go straight into the round of 32 without these people clinging on and nicking a place because they've somehow got a couple of draws or something. So I'm not against it, but as I keep saying to Pooch, the problem is that the quality of the competition starts to fall. If you had 64 teams, you might even have to let Italy into it. And, you've got to have some standard somewhere, right? So there's a little bit of a problem with the whole concept, to be honest.
Yeah, very funny. Yeah, good line that. We don't want any more Italians. Okay, lovely, Mark. Look forward to the show. Thank you very much indeed.
Great to see you, Kelvin.
Okay, that's it. And thank you for whoever said that in my wider family. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm seriously wondering whether actually the show would cheer up if Jesse came on more often, and we'll discuss and I'll tell you about that tomorrow. Thanks very much indeed. Bye.
Good morning. I'm Edward Hughes. The Knob of the North is set to enter number 10 as the new Prime Minister, promising a fresh approach focused on cost of living help, regional regeneration, and breaking from Westminster traditions. He faces immediate challenges on defence spending, energy bills, immigration, and North Sea oil policy amid pressure from the US. In crime news, police have named and pictured suspect Joshua Kerry in the targeted murder of former politician Anne Widdecombe at her Devon home. Counter-terrorism officers are investigating possible motives. Economically, the UK has seen modest growth, though property prices are feeling the heat from the World Cup and weather. Other notes include cabinet speculation, calls for stronger defence, and international ripples from US actions in Iran, and those big baby Argies lost to Spain in the World Cup final. Gotcha. Laters, Tigers.
Well, here we go, World Cuppers, for the grand finale. What did you make of it all? Not just what's happened this weekend, not just that the Argies lost. Thank God. Thank you, Spain. Viva España. I'm willing to break the English language only strict rules on this channel to say Viva España once more. Did you watch it all? It took forever, like an American sport, didn't it? It wasn't really 90 minutes of football, but I reckon I cheered that Spanish goal, basically the second Spanish goal, let's be honest, but the only one that counted. Absolutely delighted. Where did you watch it? Did you watch it at home? Did you watch it down the pub? Let's pull up image number 5, if we can, on Pooch's desk, because I reckon every Englishman was a Spaniard for a day yesterday. Can we have image number 5, please? There you go. Did you book your table for the Spain versus FIFA match? Spain won, FIFA 0. What a win. Let me bring in my wingmen to see what they thought of it. I mean, it was more breathing a sigh of relief. We've got Paul Cox in the box, and Glyn Brailsford, the Glindex. How the devil are you, sir? England didn't win, but more importantly, neither did Argentina. All is well in the world. What did you make of it, Coxie?
Point of order, first of all, comrade. What is a finale? I've never heard the word. I don't understand what it means at all, Mark. So please use subtitles if you're going to use foreign muck. Thanks very much. Very